I think that breaking down every little aspects of the cut might be a little bit tedious and might be a little bit boring, but you want to internalize all those things in order to make it look more natural and feel more natural so you can have a better and more fluid kendo. And I think that overall that's what you're looking for. You want to have a fluid kendo that it's also efficient. Welcome back to another Kendo Tips video. My name is Jose. I am a Yondan in Kendo, and today I'm going to break down cutting. I'm going to break down the motion of the swing. Before I keep going with that though, I'm going to tell you that if you enjoy my videos, consider subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you know when I'm posting new videos, and hit the like button. What I have planned for you today is that I recorded myself doing some basic swing motions, and I want to kind of break down some of the points that I think are the most useful, or maybe the ones that people tend to make the most mistakes. So hopefully we can improve our swing and we can get better cut and better impact while we're doing keiko or cutting, or I don't know where else you're gonna need this, but yeah. What you want is you want to make your cut effective. You want to make sure that you're using less energy, but you're getting a better impact and you're getting more speed, and you also getting control of your sword. The first thing I gotta say though, that's something I forgot to mention in some of my previous video about kamae and grip of the sword, and that is that when you're in kamae, is the way it was explained for me, is that on the right hand the sword is resting on this part of your middle finger. And what that does, it kind of helps with that lever motion. Is that lever? Is that the right word for it? But anyways, when you're gonna bring your sword up, shinai is resting on that middle finger, helping you when you use the left hand to start bringing the tip up and execute that swing. Let me break down a little bit how it has been explained to me, I guess. Some of this motion and maybe some of these movements may look a little bit robotic. I want you to understand that with practice you want to make it more fluid, but right now I'm going to break it down to its bare bones, so it might be a little bit robotic. The beginning of the motion to bring the sword up. A lot of times you see the mistake that people pull with the right arm to bring their sword up, even like kind of almost towards them. What you want, it's a combination of the left and right hand, but the first thing is that the left hand starts pushing the sword slightly forward to start raising the tip. Obviously, while that's happening, the right arm is following the sword, but one thing that you don't want to do is, again, pull the sword towards you. One thing that I really enjoyed that was explained to me is that your hands, when you are on top of your head, should look the same as if you're in kamae. What that means is like, don't overstretch and don't pull your hands down, right? So they kind of should look the same, natural. One thing that you can start doing to practice a better motion too, it's bringing both hands up and back. So trying to put your arms next to your ears. That helps a lot to understand what muscles you're using for the swing. But that's something that maybe you're not going to do when you're doing suburi for a long time, or when you're practicing suburi or kihon with a partner, okay? One thing that you want to definitely avoid, that I see it a lot, especially in beginners, is that people tend to overextend the left arm, kind of pushing up, and the right arm is kind of bent down. You want to avoid that, and you want to make sure that you have kind of like the same extension with both arms. The next thing is that when you start going forward, you want to lead with your left arm. You want to make sure that your left arm is the one that's kind of pulling the sword towards the opponent. And you want to throw the arms forward. You want to have the energy go forward rather than down. At this point, the right arm still following the sword rather than pushing. For me specifically, one thing that I was explaining and that I really like is that towards the end, your left arm does that a little bit of a pulling motion, and the right arm gets locked in place to provide that support with the other hands. So instead of pushing down with the right arm, what you want to do is just kind of keep it at that level at the end position, and the left arm is the one that's kind of like pulling to transfer the energy towards the tip to make the cut. Very important though is that even though you're pulling with your left arm, you still have to throw that energy forward. You have to make sure that the intention of the shinai is going forward instead of down, because when it goes down, you're kind of cutting your momentum, you're hitting too hard, and it's just not beneficial. One way to kind of see this is that try to imagine your arms as a whip. So the energy starts coming down from your shoulders, your elbow, your wrist, it goes down to your fingers for tenouchi, and then it extends towards the tip, and then the tip expels out the energy. Throw your arm forward rather than down, okay? And extend your arms to get as much extension as possible. I know I'm saying extend your arms, but make sure that do not lock your joints. You don't want to end up with your joints locked up and also not tense your shoulders, okay? You want to have your arms extended but not locked to the point that you can start damaging your elbows. I have a little bit more of a bend on my left arm, and my suburi and my swings are not perfect. I'm gonna compare a little bit from a video from Furukawa sensei, and I just want you to see the end position that he has on the cut. For me, that little bit of a bend is because of that pull at the end, but if you notice that cut is going forward and it's driving the energy forward. You're trying to avoid bringing the sword down. One thing that you really want to keep in mind is that you want to practice your swings as slow as possible, understanding the function of each muscle and each movement, but you also want to practice this at full speed. When you do full speed, you're trying to get rid of the extra tension that you may have, that you may get like on your shoulders, on your back, leaning forward when you extend it. That being said, there is relaxation right after the cut. Right when the cut is over, you want to make sure that you are relaxed instead of still tense, because that's going to stop you from being able to do multiple waza. To get good impact, there's one thing that has to be really understood: how to transfer the energy from your hands into the shinai to get transferred towards your opponent. I'm gonna demonstrate here with this wall. Now the wall's definitely a little bit lower than what men would be for me. But what I'm doing here, I'm putting the tip of my shinai on the wall. I'm using my left hand to pull, and then my right arm, my right hand, it's on top of the shinai, but it's not pushing. I'm trying to keep it fixated in one position in order to make sure that the sword doesn't go further down than it needs to be, but I'm also able to transfer the energy with that pull with the left hand. Before, I feel like I was getting a lighter impact. It's because I wasn't understanding that last moment, right? So by doing that, what I'm doing is I'm trying to understand the function of how both hands work together, because ideally what you want is you want to apply power with your left hand, and then your right arm is kind of the control. It's kind of like the guidance for the sword. The right hand is going to tell my shinai where to stop. You want to avoid bringing the sword down. You want to just keep that hand forward and allow the left hand to do that pull. This only happens for a fraction of a second. You shouldn't keep that there, and you shouldn't try to stick to your target right at the moment of impact. As soon as it gets the impact, you should relax your muscle. This pull that I'm talking about, it also gets mixed in with tenouchi. I did a previous video on tenouchi that I recommend you to go watch. What's happening in my hand in tenouchi is that I'm using my pinky and my ring finger to kind of add a little bit of extra motion to my shinai within my hand. What that does is that as I'm moving my shinai with my arm, I'm adding extra speed and force to my shinai as it's already in motion. That's going to give that snap on the shinai. For the right hand, what it does, it adds a little bit of motion towards the end, but then it gives a sharp stop. Tenouchi, it starts happening mid-swing, right? So you first pull with your hand, and mid-swing you start applying that tenouchi that is going to give that extra speed, that extra extension to your shinai, and it happens until that moment where you make that impact. Again, right after the impact, you should relax, you should let that go so you're ready to do it again. I know that this can be a complicated and a simple concept at the same time, and this is something that you definitely don't want to be thinking about when you're doing keiko or in the middle of practice, but understand the mechanics, really play with it, and see what works for you. If your sensei says something different about what I said, please listen to your sensei, but I kind of wanted to give a little bit of a breakdown on different little elements on that swing, on that cut, in order to make it more effective. One thing that is very important also, it's about your elbows. You want to make sure that as you go up, your elbows are in the same direction they started from the kamae to make it up to the top. And then they come down. You make sure that you have that intention forward. I hope you found this video useful. I hope that this is something that can help you improve your kendo, can help improve your swing. Let me know how you do it, if you do it differently, and if you have any advices for people to actually improve their swing. That being said, I think that's all I wanted to share with you today about the swing. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed these videos. Also hit me with that like button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Let me know if you have any questions.